You're listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available on podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
I mean, thank God it's Friday. I don't know what your week has been like, but man, I hope money came in though. For many of us who's been expecting money all through the first quarter. And yeah, that was the first quarter of 2021. I mean, I don't know what the first quarter of 2020 was like. I'm not even sure anybody was remembering Q1, Q2, this time last year. Everybody was just preparing to go home and be home. But then I guess the Q1 of this year, had a bit of a different touch to it, with a little bit of caution from individuals generally. I think this time last year, people were being very, very careful about even standing close to someone, just doing a brief and then just running away. Like everybody had a plague written on their forehead. But now everyone is like, okay, point the pistol to my head. Nothing's going to happen. I hope you're staying safe still. All right. It's Africa Millennial Radio Show on Africa Business Radio with Tommy Wale. And of course, I always have interesting guests, on the radio show. How was the last episode, guys? I'm sure you guys are sharing, some of these things on, Spotify, on Apple, podcast, and on Google Podcast, and of course on the website, right? I really wish we can have an opportunity to maybe, do something like a Zoom where we have people listening in on the show and then, asking questions back and forth. But then, it is radio. You tend not to see the people you're talking to. And I think radio really is just a show of faith. You say something and you just expect people that you're not even saying to listen to it. But then, yeah. I guess that's and status. And I mean, I guess data and stats show at the end of the day. All right, my guest, let me tell you something about her. I think the first time I knew her was when I was trying to sign a couple of, partnerships with one of the biggest publishing houses in Lagos, Nigeria. And, I just know there was only one person who wore very interesting frames there at the time. And then, it was Instagram back and forth. Interesting conversations here and there. And so what I think what's going to be happening really is, you might be having an idea of what our conversations usually go like, but then this time a bit of radio is going to come into it. But then trust me, I know it's really, really going to be fun. She's a tech journalist, creative writer and photographer living in Lagos, Nigeria. Her writing has been published in Bloomberg CityLab, the Smart Sets, ETA, the Forge Literary Magazine, Taxi Drivers Who Drive Us Nowhere, Anthology, and has been a part of a group of exhibition at the 2020 Dhaka Art Summit. She is the author of Travel Chapbook, A Substance of Things Unseen. Oh, she's the author of Travel Chapbook, A Substance of Things Unseen. I mean, did I read that well? You have to go through it again. Are you sure? All right, Kay Ugwuede, how you doing now?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's been happening? How's your week?
How's my week? Busy, but
money came in. I don't have concern about money.
It's a very legitimate concern. Like money is important. Money did not come in, but money is coming in.
Money came in.
Money is coming in.
Money came in. You're taking me out this evening. Money came in. And you're paying the bills. When they bring the bill, I mean, excuse me, hello, do I look like the man?
That's not good.
Yeah, so just quick one. I don't know, why is it that these people bring bills to the man and not the woman? We need to fight.
It's patriarchy.
Even the women bring the bills to the man. Is that patriarchy?
Yes, it's true, but like it's true. When servers like at restaurants see two people eating out, they automatically assume it's
why can't they just drop the bill on the table?
They automatically assume it's the man who
restaurants out there
who brought the lady out and who is going to take care of
restaurants out there in Dakar, in Mali, in Lagos, in Accra, in New York. Yeah, have sense, and then just do it and just drop the bill in the middle of the table. Yeah, let the two
people sort out who's supposed to pay.
Yeah, just drop the bill in the middle of the table and walk away.
Stop
pointing it to me. That was someone. You're a writer, right? And of course now,
I am a writer.
You have this very interesting article that I keep talking about. You wrote about entrepreneurship and dating, something like that, right?
Yeah,
and then things like yes. I mean that article was so authentic, was so amazing. What's writing to you, really? Is it an escape? Is it an obligation? Is it art? Is it business? Or, I'm sorry, my question might sound a bit cliche, but why do you write?
Why do I write? I think like if you Google why do I write or why do you write, like you would see tons of articles and like stories from writers, both notable ones and those that are still upcoming, like me, discussing just why writing is this thing that they do. And I think it's not one thing, it's like personally I did not envision a career in writing. It wasn't something that was, I've written for like the longest time, so I used to write novels, use your paper and pen, buy 80 leaves notebook, finish a novel, do drawings, all of that stuff.
You read Aliquin novels though?
Did I what?
Aliquin novels.
Did I read?
Aliquin
novels.
Of
course.
Everybody read. From like the most brilliant people then.
Aliquin novels. But it was just this thing that I did, and then I think I would have considered it an escape because I was very quiet. I was very into my own world and into my own self. So writing was like this means to share with people, because people with my classmates who read, they were fascinated by the stories and whatnot. They were very boring stories about things that we knew. I was in boarding school, so it wasn't something that I thought I would do as a career. It's like, well, people pay people to write, I didn't think that was possible. But after reading, and I always point to I always point to Chimamanda Adichie's Purple Hibiscus as a book that turned things for me. First, it made me realize that, first that there was more to writing. It's not just words, and it's not just in the story, it's not just a novel. Like, there was some power to it. So I think it's there meaning more to me, aside from just being an escape or a way to share what I was thinking with people after reading that book. And so it's like a series of events, one thing leading to the other after I tried to leave my first job, is actually what landed me into like professional writing, quote and unquote. So now it's an escape. It's art for me. It's a way to sustain myself, because this is what I do. It's, it's communicating with the world. I'm still very much of a quiet person, so writing is still a means to share, like what I'm thinking, about whatever with people. Okay. So it's a lot of these things. It's not just one thing.
Now, I understand that. So I sometimes say that there's an art to writing. So you can spell all the words in English, but then the art of writing is knowing how to bring those words together for it to be a masterpiece. So you can have all the colors on the color palette and have your paintbrush, but then you mixing it together to create a good picture. I'm sure there must have been some time of discipline, right, to actually get some things right. How are you able to transition from the desire to write, into now That's right. I feel like a rhyme. And then, so transition from that into you now, being the writer that you are today.
I think the practice of writing is writing. You write, you write I can't read anything I wrote in 2009 now, like without cringing, like, what were you thinking? What is this? It's like, but the practice of writing, and getting better at the craft is writing. So you write, you write the poem. I used to write, I think I started writing fiction initially when I first started writing. Then I did poetry. I was writing poems. I had this notebook filled with poems. And then I transitioned into writing like non-fiction, which is, literary journalism, essays, all of that stuff. And now I'm going back a little bit into like, I want to write fiction again. Hopefully if my music's come back, I will go back to poetry. So it's like, writing is the practice. And I don't know that that there's one point where you get better, but at some point you read something that you've written and it reads good to you. And this is a lot better, than what I'd done like a year ago or 2 months ago. And that's the only way to really like get better at it. It's, doing the writing itself. Of course, there's all the other things about, reading other writers and seeing what is possible with other people's work. But much of it is really, sitting down to write and just reading through the work and figuring out, what sounds right, what doesn't, how to mix things up, how to bring to life what it is that you're trying to say.
So is it that you have a picture of, or you have your gauge for writing, right? Is it inspired by a particular type of writing you've seen somewhere? Do you get what I'm saying?
Of course. So I mean, like, there are stories you read, essays you read, poems that you come across, and you're like, wow, like you're just, who?
So that
Who's
means
this person?
So that means the importance for you to actually look at certain types of writings.
Yeah. So it's
standards of writing.
Yeah.
So that you use as a gauge.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like to tell people that sometimes I keep reading books that are not really interesting because I'm trying to figure out what it is about the books that I don't like. And people say, life is too short. If the book is boring, just drop it. So I'm like, it's very rare that I will be reading a book that I consider like really bad and just like, cast it off. I will read it and figure out like, what about this thing is irritating me? Is it the story itself? Is it the way the story is written? Is it, I don't know, is it the language? Is it the style? Like, is it the fact that this book is 200 pages long when it should be 100 pages long? Like, what exactly about this book is annoying me, And you find this everywhere. So it's not just reading books, there's all this content available online. There are all these magazines available online that you can look at and read and figure out, this essay doesn't work, but oh wow, this is a mind-blowing essay. Yes, what about this is mind-blowing? So yes, it's a lot of reading, and I guess that's why people say if you want to be a good writer, read.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's the same thing actually. I think for you to be a good filmmaker, you have to see a lot of movies. Yeah, Emmanuel. Okay, because Emmanuel is a production manager and he's also the one, pushing us here, on African Millionaire Radio Show to do things better. We'll try, sir. All right, and then so when we were talking just now, I actually remember that if I'm actually going to credit someone to my style of writing my captions on Instagram, I'll credit to Dwayne Johnson's Instagram. Because I like how he does his captions. Right. Another person who has an interesting way of writing captions is Amechi Okobi, Access Bank.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen his account
I love it. I always read it through, no matter how long. I hope he gets to listen to this one day. Shake his head. And if he doesn't write a caption about me talking about his captions. Right. But then, The Rock has a very, very interesting way. Right. So I actually agree with that, and it's a very, very good way to go. Now there are challenges everywhere. In different environments, especially with the fields you want to, take on, right? Do you think there are challenges for writers in this side of the world?
A lot.
Can you talk about that? And how you've been able to even go through some of it?
I mean, so there are how would I put it now? So if you're a journalist practicing in Nigeria, the challenges differ from if you're a creative writer in Nigeria. It differs from if you are a copywriter or you work more with brands and do a lot of, branding and advertising for businesses. So it's different. I personally am in between that journalism, creative writing space. And there's a lot from not being paid well sometimes if you're working with like a media corporation to just the way the media is structured in the country and being able to find a place where it's done right, where media is done right. And I mean, Business Day was like the first place I got like journalism experience from. And I remember that one of the good things, or one of the beautiful things about working there was my managing editor, who was really, really valuable and very critical in sort of positioning my mind about what it is, I wanted to do with this writing thing that I was doing. Because at that time, it was my first professional writing job. I just didn't really know, so what's the way forward? Where does this lead to? How does this go? And the truth is, not many people have that. Not many people are even in environments where, just sitting down and thinking about those sort of things is even possible. And that's like one. And secondly, is just, for instance, if you're freelancing now, it's like how many publications are available there that are doing like really great work that you want to have your byline in or be associated with or write for. And then it's like, do they even pay well enough for you to undergo that stress?
That's exactly.
Really. And then there's if you're a creative writer, there's a lot of publishing. There are a lot of like literary magazines, now springing up where you can probably, at least if not run from Nigeria, are being founded by like Nigerian writers who are here or who are outside the country. So in that regard, as to like finding a place for your work, there are a lot more opportunities now. But you also still find that in terms of, let's say, someone who's trying to learn and like, workshops and classes and all of that stuff, you wouldn't find a lot of that in Nigeria, and then there's all the other surrounding challenges that everybody faces. I work from home most days. If I did not have the luxury of inverters in my house, I know that lights would be a challenge. All through last week or so, like nobody had lights. And there's this thing with writing is like, if the room is too hot, it's like,
it's just in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, like it just disrupts your brain. Like you don't want to do anything, And then it's, let's say you decide to go out to do your work, just the journey from wherever point you're at to where you're going to. It's like, I don't know. Lagos is a very
interesting place for writers.
Yeah, and then sometimes let's say you do well writing at night, but that particular night there's no light and there's like a shit ton of generators that are on. And the truth, like you're writing and it doesn't, it's not really disturbing, but then just in an instant it occurs to you that there's so much noise here.
That's why it's not coming.
Yeah, and it's like you just switch off, so there's just a lot of
so many things here.
But the good thing is all these things, all the interesting and not in a good way, all the interesting stuff happening in our politics and our society, all these things are like fodder for stories, and so that makes it interesting. But there are challenges as well.
All right, let's take a very short break and then we're going to just talk about writing as a way for brands and individuals to get towards to get to their niche audiences. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a very, very interesting part also, I believe. All right, let's have a short break and then we'll be back in a bit.
You're listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available on podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
Right, welcome back, guys, and of course I have Kay, in the studio with me today, and she's been having we've been having a very, very interesting conversation on writing. I mean, well, for my work as a brand consultant, I always have to write. It's a proposal today, it's something else tomorrow, and things like that. And this part we want to talk about is a very, very, very interesting part that is really, really dear to me. Today, people talk about maybe thought leadership or influencers, things like that, and it goes beyond talking. You have to read something from them. You get what I'm saying? So, and then there's also the part of maybe someone doing the writing for them, and then them actually doing the writing themselves. I don't know. I think there's always a difference. Me writing something and someone writing it for me, I don't think someone can write as authentic as I would. I don't know. Maybe you guys will have some. Okay, quick one. Do you think that's possible? That Kay will write in my language sometimes.
That's, I don't know. Especially when it comes to like biographies and like when people want writers to ghostwrite like their books for them. So I think one of the things that will be important for someone to hire you to do that kind of job is that they know that you're going to be able to, remove yourself from the story.
Exactly. And
infuse. When ghostwriting is actually a lot of work. I don't know how people do it here because I've never done it before, but it's, you're really immersing yourself in the person's story. And so you will write the way, I mean, I imagine that if I was going to ghostwrite somebody's story, that would mean spending tons of hours with them, listening to them talk, and just understanding how they use words.
Exactly.
It has to be part of what your research and assignment is.
Has
really
to do. Now that's from point of a ghostwriter. Yeah. Now, as a business, as an individual today, right? How important it is, or how important it is for an individual to actually learn how to write today. So it's you tweeting, doing threads, it's you writing your captions, especially to grow your personal brand or to grow your business. What's the importance of that?
So,
was that question clear?
Yeah, it is. It's like, is it important to give thought to what you tweet or what you use as your captions in Instagram?
Exactly.
And I think that it is, it's extremely important now because, okay, let me use this as an example. So a friend of mine tweeted, he made a thread one day a few months back, and so people were sending, responses and quote tweeting and giving their comments. And he got confused and he comes to my inbox and is like, I also responded, and he comes to my inbox and what gives you the impression that this is what I was talking about? I'm like, go back and read your thread. That's essentially what you're saying, And it's like, oh no, that's not exactly that's not exactly how I meant it. So that's not what I meant. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not clear. And if you see the responses you've been getting, that is why people are saying those things in the responses. So I think it's important. It's important to know how to, especially now because everybody is busy sharing their thoughts and opinions about every single subject on the face of the earth, which I have a problem with. But if you must do that, at least, I think that you should be able to, you must be clear, you know, in the choice of language that you're using, in the ideas that you're communicating, because while it's very easy for people to be misquoted today, especially given just the politics of, you know, existing today in the kind of world that we exist in today, I think one of the things that language helps us do is to make our thoughts and ideas clear, you know, it's like unknown, you know, and so, you know, use that to your advantage.
Instead of going with words and over.
Yeah, like it's as simple as you have something that you feel like you want to say about something that has happened or something that you've just thought about and you feel like it needs to be shared. Yeah, like it's important to find ways to do it as clearly as possible, you know. So it's like, and it's, you know, in the choice of words that you use.
So just go for clarity.
Yeah,
don't try to be.
Don't try and be an expert on it. I think this is what people do a lot these days. You know, try and be an expert on everything. Okay. Don't be an expert on everything.
You may have learned something. So there was this Nollywood, you know, critic page that I used to like before, but then I just started. I was like, these people are just very sentimental. It's not. This is not criticism, right? So I now tweeted, and then some accounts, you know, replied me and said that they actually reviewed this page, right? So they are Nollywood critics too. So they said they actually reviewed that page, you know, on Instagram. And then I checked the video on YouTube. So there was a time that they were actually reading some of the captions, right? That this page on Instagram, this movie critic page, you know, the captions the words they use or how they read their caption. So they were, you know, reading it out. And then as they were reading it out, it was really long and going. Then it just faded the video page into the picture of a certain man with a fro, glasses, black suit and tie. Then they faded it out.
Oh God.
Sorry, you have to get this joke. If you don't get it, it might take you about 2 years to get that. But then I think the people who know. So when I was talking about clarity, right, that came to my head. Yes, it's very, very important actually for brands, especially for businesses. And if you're going to maybe write a thought about, okay, this is what we think about what should be and everything, just make it clear. So I heard that one of the things that Trump had, you know, over a whole lot of his, fellow contestants was that his language could be understood by a grade 3 or grade 4. You know, because he was very, very clear in communication. He wasn't trying to be deep. You know, even though, yes, many people don't agree with his political views, that's not what the show is about. Right. But clarity, like you said,
clarity
is very, very, very important. Now, there's so many people that would love to write right now, right? And then they're trying to, you know, maybe one day, you know, be like someone, right? Do you have any, if you're just going to give some words to them on how to go about go about their writing journey, right? What would you really just say to these people?
2 things is write. You know, write the very shitty things that you read and like, oh God, okay. I'm never going to be a writer. Write those things. Okay. Write them, keep them in your docs. Yeah, don't let anybody see it, okay. But write it. I mean, as people like to say, you really can't work from nothing. You know, so it's like there are words on the page that you can look at and figure out what isn't right and what you can make better, you know. But if there's nothing to work from, there's nothing to start off with, right? So write all the shitty stuff, you know, save it, keep writing, save it. I don't know, like.
And if she talk to you,
all right, huh?
She did talk to you. She did text.
No.
That's a typical words of a writer. Don't stress me.
No, it's
Don't disturb me. Now, sorry, quick one, K, right? So, I heard that the best art is never sold. I mean, the best art, my art, I'm not going to put it, it's not going to be for commercial use. Now, writing is a form of art. Do you think you should make money from, from writing?
When people say I do my writing for writing's sake, I always correct them. Please, I need money.
Okay, so make money.
Make art that people want to pay for. You know, it's like,
okay.
yeah. I mean, especially if it is your livelihood. You know, I think that I don't know, probably I'm hoping that we're past the stage of like romanticizing art for the art's sake and whatnot. If it is if that is your life's work, you need to make money from it. It's just as simple as that. You know, like you need to eat, you need to put a roof over your head, you need to be able to afford some little luxuries in life. So make art that people want to pay for. And that you make art that people want to pay for doesn't mean that art is not true to you.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's what people, I mean, there's a difference between just selling out for money's sake. And when artists do that, they know. You know when you're selling out your work for money's sake. Nobody needs to tell you. You know when you're writing something that you know is just pandering to a certain audience because you need them to, I don't know, pay for something, or you need them to, you know when those things are happening. Yeah. But writing and doing work that matters to you and is good enough that people pay for it, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can be, you know, they can go hand in hand. You can make work that you love, that is true to you, and people pay for it. So you have money to eat pancakes and coffee in the morning, or pay for all your coffee. Exactly,
and pay for your inverter.
Exactly, and pay for inverters.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of this episode with Kay, you know, especially in the topic of writing. Kay, thank you very much for coming this wonderful Friday. I mean, guys, don't forget to, you can reach out to Kay, maybe on LinkedIn, you know, don't disturb her. She won't answer you. This is the first guest I said, don't text me. Don't text me.
Please, all right, guys. I'm not mean.
Yeah, not mean, but then writers will understand why, actually, right? But then for business sake, please, K, what's your
Please reach out
Instagram?
to me for business.
What's your Instagram?
K Ugwuede.
Ugwuede, how you spell? That's Kay
Ugwuede.
EDE, right? So do that, you know, reach out to her for business only and get her the jobs, you know. All right, guys, don't forget to go on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, and Google Podcast, you know, to listen to more episodes from the African Millennial Radio Show. Right, I just said the African Millennials on this podcast, and they have a whole lot of things, you know, coming up. Over 50 episodes so far. Right, and don't forget to, you know, stay safe. Don't drink too much. In all your play, you know, play safe, and have a very wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you very much, and bye for now.
That's cool on the beat.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
You're listening to Africa Business Radio, where you get up-to-date insights on the Africa business landscape. Log on to www.africabusinessradio.com. Your favorite shows are available on podcasts. Download them on our website and mobile app. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.